low ticket is very different than high ticket, and recurring monthly membership is very different than one-time cost. Like PGA is high ticket, but it's one-time cost.
Taking what we would do on a one-on-one consultation call, turn it into some kind of AI prompt, take in the information, and then that allows us to basically give roadmaps to people.
And a challenge I foresee is that we've spent the past 2 years obsessing over high ticket one-time costs. And as a result, we're aware of all these things that we can do to support student success.
Now we can kind of speed run a lot of the parts that we didn't know how to do back then. Assembling the curriculum, assembling the modules, hiring the initial people if we think we need someone doing the onboarding calls.
I feel like where a lot of these communities go wrong, and we've made this mistake in the past too, it's not that the content isn't great. It's exactly what you said. It's like...
Boom. Welcome back to another episode of the Espresso Hour, where the running joke is it's going to be much shorter than an hour because despite being 3:49, it's still hyped up on caffeine. Had a late afternoon cold brew to prime for this one because I know we got a lot to jam on, a lot of great things in the works. How's the week going so far?
Good. I've been on a espresso in the morning and very potent green tea in the afternoon.
There you go.
Strict regimen lately. It's been this green tea. This is like a specialty tea shop from Singapore. And I really like this tea. Someone gifted it to me when Alyssa and I got engaged, I think. And I've been like obsessed with it. And I just reordered it. And their green tea, it's like drinking coffee. Their green tea is crazy strong. I love it.
I need to get involved. As I'm looking at apartments, I'm already scouting out some at-home espresso machines. Anyway, we got too much to dig into to go down. We'll end with personal updates. Where do you want to start today? I think a couple of places, but I'll let you take the lead.
Yeah, I think let's talk about this digital writing school idea that we have. What it is, why we're doing it, why we feel like it's important. And then I think the bulk of this episode should be just thinking through, people can listen in as we think through this product and how this is going to look. So I guess the high level insight is, for a long time, for the past year, we haven't really had an upsell after Ship 30. Someone goes through Ship 30, now what? In the past, we used to have an upsell after Ship 30 called Captain's Table. And when we ran Ship 30 as a cohort-based program, we would upsell to, at first it was another cohort-based program because we were like, well, this is working. We should just do this again. Then lesson learned, that wasn't super sustainable. So then the Captain's Table became this more like evergreen sort of membership. And at the time, we didn't know, like, is this a higher ticket upsell? Is it a monthly membership? Is this a yearly membership? Is it a lifetime? That like we just didn't have the skills yet to know. And then when we started PGA, we ultimately decided, we don't know what to do with Captain's Table, so we're just going to shut it down. And we haven't had an upsell since. And really the idea with the digital writing school is, $99 a month, some sort of evergreen community for people. Because after you finish Ship 30, you have all sorts of new questions. You're like, how do I get more specific by platform? How do I create some sort of digital download? How do I sell an ebook or write my first book? How do I launch digital products myself? How do I start a newsletter? So we're sort of thinking about it as just this giant bucket to put a bunch of additional resources in. Did I get that right?
Listen, and I made a video. That was the topic of my video today, was kind of like what we're doing, why we're doing it, what's going on. And I kind of laughed at myself as I was filming because our solution when we were faced with two opportunities was just, well, we can't do both, so we got to shut it down. And that was the right thing to do at the time because we didn't have the skill to have people fulfill on it for us. And the big POV that I had in part of that video was like, we spent 2 years building a product where now all our responsibility is to market it. And we have a whole team running the fulfillment, except for you doing the weekly calls. What we want to get eventually with Digital Writing School, like the long-term vision, is to truly have like a community asset that grows far beyond us and is just the category king of any kind of writing-based community. And that involves people marketing and fulfilling for us. And I think starting with that end in mind is important because it will shape how we brand it, how we build it. But yeah, that is the you hit the nail on the head. We had the opportunity to do two things. We didn't know how to do both, so we shut one down. We went and learned a bunch of skills doing PGA that now we can kind of speed run a lot of the parts that we didn't know how to do back then. Assembling the curriculum, assembling the modules, hiring the initial people if we think we need someone doing the onboarding calls, etc. Like, it's exciting to think that the skills you build on one business can then help you start and scale something much faster in the future. And I don't think we appreciated that in real time as we were building PGA.
Yeah, definitely. In a lot of ways too, I can also see how a challenge, and I'm saying challenge in quotes because it's a good challenge, a
Right.
challenge that I anticipate us having in building this lower ticket monthly membership, which if we've learned anything, like low ticket is very different than high ticket, and recurring monthly membership is very different than one-time cost. Like PGA is high ticket, but it's one-time cost, you know? And a challenge I foresee is that we've spent the past 2 years obsessing over high ticket one-time cost.
Right.
And as a result, we're aware of all these things that we can do to support student success. Low ticket is in many ways, and the survey that we put out like confirms a lot of this, you know. In many ways, people have the same expectations with low ticket.
Yeah.
They want the Ferrari, but they want to pay as if they're not even buying a Honda. It's like renting a Honda. You know what I mean? And so I think that's going to be something that we're going to have to be really conscious of, because our impulse is going to be, well, we can take all these things that work in PGA, let's just apply them here. But the reason we can do a lot of what we do in PGA is because it's higher
Right.
ticket. You have more margin to play with. You can hire more people, you know? So I think it's like, what are the 80-20 things that drive a lot of the feeling of support without us incurring a ton of cost in order to support people, you know?
Yeah, right away, I think it's going to be using AI to replace some of the support systems we have. Like, I think we could build some good, like, hey, you need to ask a question on where to go in this certain thing. We build out kind of like a AI knowledge base that will go a long way. I think part of the longer term vision might be you do have a coaching option in it. Like, hey, you want to do this whole thing, but have a weekly call or a bi-weekly call with someone. That's available, but it's 5 times as much.
Yep.
This third thing that I think will do really well is learning that when you launch a digital product, your goal is to overwhelm with value, and that they like unlock this thing that they paid one time for. And it's like, holy crap, there's so much here. I'm excited. Like, this was clearly good. And as long as it's not fluff, like, that's usually the goal. With community, it's actually more important to underwhelm in terms of number of things, but overwhelm or over-deliver on direction. That is something I'm going to be thinking a lot about. It's like right when they get in, the way you build a community is to show them the exact thing that they're going to be doing for the next 3, 6, 12 months.
Yep.
Then deliver the accountability systems with like accountability partners and ways to meet other people. And then I think it'll be pretty simple in terms of what weekly calls we have. We have a talented team that I think can deliver some of those calls, and we can incentivize to do that. And that's where you get answers to your questions. It's like on those calls. And other than that, I don't think that there's going to be a particularly large amount of churn from, here's what's going to be interesting. Because we are building collateral in the membership, and that all the educational information you only get to keep when you are actively paying, I think we underestimate the impact that will have on people to actually do things. Because if they're not doing anything but they want to, and they know, if it's not like we're charging $1,000, like 99, you can wait a couple months. And, I didn't do it this month, didn't do it this month, but I'm going to get on it next month, so I'm going to keep it. I think we could do a good job with like the next carrot always being ahead, and making sure that there's collateral where you're not just like churning because you don't have to keep paying to keep accessing things.
Yeah, listening to you talk gives me the idea of, I wonder what we can set up on the automation side, where after someone unlocks any single module, we send them an email being like, congrats on unlocking this module. Here's the purpose. Here's what you're going to get out of it. our recommendation is when you're done with this, this is the next one that you should get. So
Genius.
you're constantly just like, this is the next step. This and like signaling how these all fit together. I feel
Yeah.
like where a lot of these communities go wrong, and we've made this mistake in the past too, is it's not that the content isn't great. It's exactly what you said. It's like you throw all this at them and then they don't know where to start. They don't know where to go next.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I was thinking, and I dropped that brain dump for you. Like, what is the best way to organize this?
Hmm.
And school also doesn't do a great job at like organizing because
Uh-huh.
everything just sort of gets dumped in that classroom tab. And
Right.
I was poking around different communities that I'm in and just seeing how they did it. And
Uh-huh.
that's where the idea that I came up with is I think the best thing that we could do is just group things thematically by color,
Yep. Easy.
you
Like,
know?
I like that a lot.
So that way at a glance you're like, all right, these are all the traffic things, these are all the conversion things, these are all the product things,
Yep.
these are all the mindset things. And then really like I think that's about as good as you can get inside school. And then really it's like the email automation reminders and it's the onboarding slash coach interaction.
Uh,
That's all this is the next thing that you need and here's why.
Yeah, we're gonna need to build some kind of automated or templatized like path document that's just like a Google Doc that they will bookmark. It's like you need these things. As
Mm-hmm.
I have started to read through these surveys, where I think we will go is based on those 7 business models. You sell digital products only, you sell a coaching offer, you sell an agency service. You want, like, we can map, I think, starting business first, SaaS, you run a SaaS company, and then say these are the recommended assets that you should have based on that business. They're really going to be almost the same, but I think that allows us to, like, you come in, you tell us about your business. We have a business that is succeeding with this exact stack. Here is what we think you should be going to build. And then we put them on the roadmap. Right? Because then it's okay. You're this type of business and you have these things. Here's what you need. You need one channel that you're consistently writing on. You need a newsletter. Okay, you're an agency. You should be highlighting wins. You sell digital products. It needs to be education. Like different ways of suggesting things to people. And then we just have to overcome their objections of like, oh, but I'm different. Like, I don't need so-and-so. It's like, okay, well, you don't have to do it this way. This is just our recommended.
So do you think that changes anything on the organization or is that just like a survey question and that tells us how to speak to it
I
to
think
them?
I don't think it changes the organization. I think it changes the onboarding call because it's like, okay, cool. You told us you're a coach. That means what's most important for you is these things. And it's really
Yeah.
the same for everyone, but just how we speak to it. And I guess like social content might change a little bit, but we basically need to like show the end state for each type of business that people should try to build to.
Mm-hmm.
And then that dictates their path. And then on the onboarding call, it's like, cool, you'll unlock a token each month, or these are the first 6 courses we recommend. You want to go ahead and unlock all of them now for $500.
So really it's like, yeah, this is cool. If you start with business type and then you jump to here's the ideal scene.
Right.
And the ideal scene, I think, it's 2 things. It's here's the marketing stack. We'll use that terminology. And here's sort of the baseline metrics to aim for.
Mm-hmm.
Because like for example, a lot of times we will explain these things to people and they'll be like, I'm writing consistently and I'm doing $8,000 a month, should I start running ads? And it's like, no, like until you're doing 50,000 a month, you shouldn't
Right.
even be considering running ads. So I think we need to give people those baselines,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah, it'll be revenue. We'll need revenue.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
And then it's like business, jump to the end state, go back to now start here.
mm-hmm.
And then go here, and then go here, and then go.
And all the while, it's like you unlock the next educational course, you work on that, you meet people who are also taking that. So we have some kind of rapid fire intro again. And then all the while, they get like a monthly email that's got social media templates, newsletter templates, and like a tactic that we're finding that's working. So they get
So
on value.
I was thinking about this, and I feel like because TypeShare fills a lot of the template stuff. I've been really enjoying Hormozy's newsletter,
Hmm.
where he shares just like a super tactical thing. And I think we take for granted how many of those little super tactical things that we inherently do inside our own business
Well,
and little upgrades that we come up with. And so I was thinking it would be really cool if, as part of the community, we had an internal
mhm,
newsletter where it's just, here's what's working for us this week.
mhm,
And it could be a hook, but it could also be this PS template is crushing it.
mm,
Or, like this script on upsell calls, crushing it. Like I think just sharing what's working for us could be really interesting.
mm. Okay, I like that too. Yeah. Hmm. Nice. Yeah, this is what it's all about. It's just we need more conversations about this kind of stuff
Yeah.
and building the V1 roadmap. And I know it's going to take 4 or 5 iterations, but I see no reason this can't get to 1,000 people over the next year.
No reason.
You know?
I think there's no reason why we can't get to 5,000, you
Yeah.
know. Another framework that sort of clicked for me because I've been so just to pull back and share with everyone. I've been really obsessed, especially, I mean, ever since we started building things together, but more and more every year. I've been really obsessed with this idea of how do you create things with multiple different end goals in mind, where you create it once, but you can slice and dice it in all sorts of different ways and reuse it over and over again. And we've done this with content. It's like your idea with the handwritten content. It's like I'm already going to script or I'm already going to write notes for a Loom YouTube video. I might as well write the notes in such a way where we could pass it to someone who turns those into handwritten visuals that then we could also put on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
So like knowing that that's the end goal, I'm going to write the Notion doc for my own notes in a different way because I know that that's what it's leading to. And I've been thinking about this with digital products too, is like instead of most people think of digital products as just, I'm creating this product and I'm going to dump all my knowledge inside of it. And if I've learned anything, it's like, A, no, it's not what you should do. B, you should think of the product less as information and learning and more as action steps.
Hmm.
So like, what is the thing that the person wants to accomplish? And then reverse engineer what they want to accomplish into the 5, 7, 10 most important action steps. And then make each action step as tangible as possible and or give it a tangible name.
Hmm.
That's like the best way to approach a digital product. You can take that another layer deeper, which is what I've done with the past 2 product drops of ours, which is isolate each of the action steps or meaningful action steps into a sub product in and of itself.
Right.
So, category newsletter creator, which was the product we dropped on Black Friday, was this like larger product. And then instead of just dumping stuff into that, we broke it apart into 5 mini products that were like the 5 most important action steps of creating a category defining newsletter. And each of the mini products, I then had the design team mock up like
Hmm.
individual product boxes for each one so that it feels even more tangible. The reason why I wanted to do that was so that when we got to building the digital writing school, we could break it apart and we could have multiple products inside of it. Now, after outlining this even more, this has clarified for me in another way,
Hmm.
which is if you organize the digital writing school, we're getting super heady internet marketing. I love this. If you think about organizing the digital writing school in the following categories, you have top of funnel, which is traffic. You have middle of funnel, which is, we'll call it marketing. And then you have bottom of funnel, which we'll call product.
Mhm.
So it's traffic. I'm taking the traffic that I have and I'm doing some sort of nurturing, aka that's like real where marketing steps in. And then I'm using that marketing to sell some sort of product or service. And then you have sort of a fourth category, which is mindset how to think about the thing that we're doing. And then you could argue that the fifth category, which you had listed out, is like automation, AI, operations, like the support to all of those things. If you take those 5 categories, every time we do a product drop, the product should be organized in those 5 categories. Because if you like, let's just pretend that we were going to drop a product called like LinkedIn Mastery, for example. One big module or one mini course inside that would be traffic on LinkedIn. The second one would be marketing from LinkedIn. How do you take that traffic? What do you do with it? What are the different opt-ins, CTA strategies, stuff like that? Third, how do people sell things? Maybe what are the different ways you could monetize your LinkedIn audience? Fourth, mindset. Is LinkedIn too saturated? Am I behind the curve? Should I not do this? And then fifth is like, what are the different automations that you could hook up with? And if you take that lens, every time we create a digital product, you break it into those 5 pieces, you add it to the color or the category in the digital writing school, and you just double dip over and over and over again.
Okay. So
does that click for you, or is that very confusing?
No, it clicks for me. You just have to get clear on like, okay, so if we're going to recommend someone to go write on LinkedIn, which one do they start with, right? Because if it's 5, that's like 5 months to unlock the whole thing. That's the only part we're going to have to play. Because I think it's the right way of thinking, but I don't know if you need like LinkedIn monetization or LinkedIn automation. I like the different parts could go to each one, because like, yeah, LinkedIn traffic versus converting from LinkedIn could be different things. And rather than LinkedIn mindset, I think it's probably like a broader one of like social media mindset or something like that. Because if it's somewhere in the middle.
That's true. Yeah.
Too granular, then it's like too many products, which is why probably like 2 or 3. But I think that the philosophy / mindset could actually be the foundation, because you're doing that. I looked at your low ticket launchpad. It's like handling all 10 of your objections before we get into this.
Yep.
And I think having that as part of the, more or less start here will be important. I think what's going to make or break this is when someone joins on an onboarding call, you have to show them their bottleneck within each of those categories. And then of their 5 bottlenecks, which one should they do first? So that's going to be my game plan. It's like, all right, you're an agency. Here's the the traffic, marketing, product, mindset, and operations bottlenecks that you might be based on your revenue or running into. Like, this is how I would do the onboarding. Okay, great. Based on your revenue, like if it's in the beginning, it's really a marketing thing, or like a traffic thing. You need to go make sure you're getting enough leads from LinkedIn, so we need to start there. And then we go, once you solve that bottleneck, the next one will be you don't have a product or your service is underpriced or something like that. I think that type of diagnostic is the right way to think about it, where giving them like, okay, what is the most important course for you to take on each of the 5 areas? Because that's usually what it's going to be. It's going to be like the next thing. And then here's how the onboarding will get really good. It's like, you actually don't need this, this, and this, so please don't spend your credits on that. Instead, you need this, 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 and this. Okay, cool, let's get started. By the way, you're going to unlock one of these each month, or if you want to purchase 5 tokens for the price of 4, we can get you all right now.
Yep.
And that will be like the 101 way to pull forward revenue. But that's how I'm thinking about when I go do some of these onboarding calls. I'm going to think, I need to look at all 5 bottlenecks, the bottleneck of each one of those, and then based on the hierarchy, like which one is the actual bottleneck. Go work on that for a month, fix it. Here are the numbers to know that you fixed it, and then go from there. And if we can deliver that and I'm really glad we just recorded that, because I think that's exactly what needs to be done. If we can deliver that with AI on the survey as well, like kind of getting that more or less templatized and deliver and fulfill that for $99, that absolutely crush.
Well, so this is what's really cool is it clicked for me today, and this is what spurred this brainstorm because I spent the morning basically doing that for liftoff,
Mm,
where you really realize like you can this all goes back to why the AI revolution is so fascinating and it's creating such a chasm in people because everyone wants to automate things they've never done before.
mhm,
And so what happens is they see AI do something and their first conclusion is like, I guess I shouldn't go learn that skill because AI is just going to take it over. And it's like, you're missing the point.
mhm.
You could be the one who has AI take it over if you developed the skill,
Right.
right? And so because we've done all of these things over and over and over again, like manually, like even if you just talk through it, like if someone with an agency doing 12 grand a month got on a call with you and you asked them these series of questions and they gave you these metrics, you would tell them what the bottleneck was
Mhm,
and you would tell them exactly what to do. What I was doing for Liftoff was the exact same on the ghostwriting side, which is like group different types of companies, come up with measurable variables that define each bottleneck,
mhm,
distill them, score them, tee up the answer, and
right.
ideally, we are successful if the onboarding call is really them just saying the conclusion that AI came up with out loud to them.
Mhm, mhm,
The person taking the onboarding call does, it's not that they like shouldn't have, or it's not that they can't, it's that they shouldn't have to be the one to subjectively analyze it.
mhm. That's so exciting to me to think about the survey because one of the operations modules will be here's a recommended tracking system to implement based on your business. And we have all those.
Yep.
So it's like, hey, your agency, like you probably have some of these, but we think if you couldn't pull, like this is the thing, if we ask for these numbers and they can't bring it, it's like, well, your actual first bottleneck is data. And you need to set that up. And then we have to kind of strike the balance of this being like a pure business consulting group versus writing based. And so it always has to come back to that. But yeah, that's where I think like long term we create the most value is taking what we would do on a one-on-one consultation call, turn it into some kind of AI prompt,
Mm-hmm.
take in the information, and then that allows us to basically give roadmaps to people based on 7 or 8 numbers.
There's a lot to be learned from Hormozy's workshop here because you could say that
Mm-hmm.
we're doing the low ticket, way more accessible version.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to think about over delivering in that way on the front end and really educating people, not just like here's a bunch of resources, but like here's how to think through the problem that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see how the logical next step is that 5% of people in the digital writing school are like, I listened to you, I addressed my bottleneck, I grew, now I have more revenue to play with, I would like your help. And then it becomes a very different tier offer, you
Yeah, and
know?
right away with the survey, like we had 3 or 4 people who were like, yeah, I'm doing like 50 to 80K a month. My bottleneck's marketing. Oh, cool. We should be writing their content. We'll want us to set this up for you. Boom. Like
Yep.
that's we basically create leads for like a ghostwriting agency for ourselves.
That or mastermind, not sure.
Yeah, I think it's a hybrid because that was kind
Yeah.
of the thing that I like. I think you need some kind of deliverable and then having the mastermind be only people that you're writing for. So you bring everyone together and that's like the shared revenue level or market or whatever, what have you. It's like, hey, we're writing your content, but if you want to be a part of this exclusive group where our clients get to talk to each other, we do in-person events, XYZ, that's an additional 4K.
Yep.
And then you tack it on to the writing you're already doing. I think that's like the sweet spot.
Yeah, that's cool.
Write for yourself, write for other people. We write for you. Which one do you want? Or which one do you fall into? And if we
Yeah.
can have all 3 of those, that's, I think, our North Star right now.
Yep. It's pretty ideal business.
Mhm.
Yeah. So now with all that, now I'm just staring down the barrel being like, well, we should probably come up with what what the highest impact things we can have to start with
Mhm.
in the school so that we can soft launch, because we're not going to have everything at
Right.
once.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, just go from there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about the best way for me to do some of these onboarding calls, and I really need to figure out what their 5 bottlenecks are. And so say it like, hey, I'll pick a few. I'm going to set the frame of my goal for this call is to figure out the 5 things that you need to work on based on each of these. Let's start with traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think if I do 5 or 6 of them, show you the replay, we'll come up with those paths. Like I'm going to pick one of each business, I think, and
I was
start.
going to say, yeah, you should watch. I dropped it to Daniel this morning,
Well,
but you should watch the loom over the Notion doc that I did for liftoff,
oh,
because
nice.
you'll see like the thinking of how I'm processing through it. On the weekends, I've been playing a good amount with ChatGPT and Claude, just trying to
Um,
figure out like, and it's already crazy how much the models have improved in the past year. It's nuts. But I'm starting to really realize that you can automate just about everything if, and this is the key nuance, if you have clarity over the the step and the desired outcome, and you can tangibly ask it for something objective. That is the whole key, is like subjectivity ruins AI. Objectivity is where it thrives. And so the more that you can distill things down into objective variables, the better, you know? So, for example, taking each company type, you have an agency, or you sell low ticket digital products or whatever. Objective variables are like, is your price point above or below this threshold? Are you doing above or below this monthly recurring revenue? Are you getting above or below this level of engagement percentage or hard metric, whatever, on X or on LinkedIn? The more of those objective variables together, then you can create some sort of scoring system, and then all of the answers, like your goal in those onboarding calls should basically be, how do you create equations that serve the answer? And then whoever does the onboarding call is like the nurse looking at the sheet being like, it says here that you have, and that's the extent of it.
That's an exciting problem to work on.
It's really fun because you're coding with words.
Right. Right. All right. I got what I'm going to journal on tomorrow morning to move forward this brainstorm. That's kind of what I've been doing. It's like going to bed, think on one question. Tomorrow it's going to be, what are the pieces of information I want to know from each business type to basically understand their 5 bottlenecks.
Mm-hmm. By the way, so 2 things. One, journal about it, but I would really encourage you to actually think through this with
Yeah.
ChatGPT, because it'll help you a lot.
Yeah.
But 2, an interesting thing that AI taught me, and now this is changing the way that I'm thinking, is like AI over this past weekend was explaining, like, because I was asking like, what are the best ways to use AI to automate things that are subjective? And its answer to me was, you want to take, as it referred to, as a modular approach. So what that means is, instead of trying to tackle like big questions all at once, you want to break things into smaller pieces and isolate like this decision, and then we crystallize this decision, and then we move on to the next, and then we move on to the next. And so thinking about this with people in this group is like, first we need to isolate, like, what sort of business do you have? How do we know that it's that business? Then isolate, like, biggest problem. How do we know which one is the biggest problem? Maybe it's on a spectrum. We need to isolate that. Like, the more that you break it apart, the higher quality the result. Whereas I notice, and I think about this with writing all the time, like most people who are using AI is like, let me just ask AI generally, like, what do you think of my story? Or what do you think of my article? It's not modular. Like, you're not isolating different questions or isolating different problems.
I mean, right away, like if you go back into that window and ask it to give you a prompt where you can enter things and turn it into modular steps, that right away solves a big problem of how do you turn something general into something specific.
Mm-hmm. And
That
I
would be-
didn't,
Well, yeah.
dude, I had a moment with ChatGPT, like, I felt like a third grader. It was educating me on shit I didn't even know you could do. Like,
Well,
this is way above my pay grade, and I'm not proficient enough, but I was trying to like figure out how to just break apart writing in general. Just like how do you isolate these different variables? And it was like, yeah, what you can do is you can create automations where, ChatGPT runs the logic and then it isolates a conclusion, or it's like, these are the variables we're going to pluck out. Then we're going to store it in a different database. Then
yeah.
we're going to like QC that database so that the next thing that we isolate, we reference back to the database so that the logic never breaks.
Well,
Like there's a lot of really advanced cool stuff we can do. We have no clue yet.
Right. All right. Well, we got to stop talking because I got enough to work on now. Means that my brain's at max capacity in terms of processing new ideas. So that's a successful 35-minute espresso hour. Anything, I think, yeah, we're filming these on Tuesday. So we're back to the same week cadence. So this will come out on Saturday morning. Have your espresso start the week. And I'm really excited to build this on my channel, just kind of documenting each of the things we're working on, like walking through this prompt of, all right, here's how I'm structuring these onboarding surveys, and here's the AI prompt I had to do that. Like, that's going to be my video for next week. So I got to go get to work on it. That's where we're going.
Well, if anyone has any questions / ideas, please leave a comment, because this is going to be a fun, big project for us. And just like everything we do, we want to build the most helpful digital writing, digital product school on the internet. So if anyone has any questions and or ideas, please drop them to us.
That's what we got. All right. See you guys next week. Peace.